Hey Joan. Hi Lisa. I noticed that I have this tendency to believe that because it is everything and there is no me, non-duality, it somehow is wrong to follow my flow and to create a life for myself that feels good for me. Is that a mistake? Oh, if that makes sense. Is that a mistake? If that makes sense. Sorry, Joan. Hi Joan. Yeah, on the human level, um, I wouldn't say it's a mistake, but on the human level, there is something not flowing there because that's how the human works, is to follow its flow. So you could say we have these wants or these needs or whatever you call them manifest in the body. So the want to create a life, the want to be creative, the want to find a mate, the want to have children, the want to be in beauty, the want to, like all these mysterious wants, to go to the toilet, to eat food, to eat healthily, to do exercise. We have these wants, and they are expansive. So when we're really in tune with our wants, they feel expansive. Yeah, and beautiful. And we do want to be creative, and on a human level, we do want to build things and do things. It could be so different for everyone, you know? It doesn't have to be the typical life that we're given in this society. It could be so different and unique to that being. But we do want to be creative, and we do tend to want to be in community. Like that. And creative is so many different things. And then we have the outside world, which you could say puts down roadblocks, you know. And so say if you want to be creative in building a home, then society has all these conditions in which you can build a home. It's not like you can just go out into nature and build a home. There's all these preconditions. So your flow might be to build a home, but then society has all these things that you have to navigate around. And then they create other feelings, like more secondary feelings on top of that. And then sometimes they're believed and sometimes they're not. So there could be like frustration or sadness or excitement in response to these different roadblocks that come from the outside world. And we can get involved in stories of them like, it's impossible, I can't do this, or it's not good enough. And that's not so much that isn't your natural flow. That is a condition that's arising from having a thinking mind and your conditioning in the past. And that's not your natural flow. But often your natural flow and those conditioned responses get entangled, and then you can't decipher your natural flow. It doesn't mean that you don't have difficult feelings with the roadblocks that come up in life, but it's like you have a roadblock, so there is anger or frustration, and then there is an opening up to that anger and frustration and then going beyond it. But often we don't do that. It just gets all entangled into this knot, and then we begin to not be able to decipher our wants and needs, and then that makes us feel depressed or uncomfortable or down. Our body feels sore. The balanced human, which I think is few and far between, is meant to be moving towards its expansion, and that's what its wants and needs. And part of its wants and needs, I'm not implying it's selfish, is to get on with other people and to help other people and to love other people. That's part of what it wants. That's part of what's beautiful about being human. We are community animals. But I would say most people don't even know what it is they want. And I don't mean want from a seeking energy of like that energy where there's separation, where you're seeking to get freedom from a want and need. I mean just your natural flow, which feels like love. Like, so when you think about something you want, and if you're not too cut off from it, it feels expansive, it feels very loving. Like even the idea of, going to cook yourself dinner when you're hungry, or cuddling up with a loved one, or walking down to the beach. It feels loving, it feels open. And there's nothing wrong with that openness coming up against things which stop it, but it's like that comes, there's a block, and then a new creativity comes up in response to that. So there is maybe like a sadness, a difficult feeling, and then a new creativity helps it expand even more to go beyond that. You can like imagine a beaver, like they make these dams, and it's made this whole dam, and it's been ages like chopping down the wood and putting the wood across the water to make the dam, and then a leak forms, and then the whole dam falls down. And you can imagine the beaver has moments of feelings in that, like fear, confusion. It maybe doesn't have anger because it maybe can't perceive what's happening, but there'll be fear, the confusion, there'll be all sorts of negative feelings as the dam collapses, and maybe concern about its storage of food. But then the beaver will start again. And that's the same for us. Like, so we have these setbacks, but when you're really in touch with your natural flow, it is always to create and expand on the human level. Always. We are creative beings, just like life. It's so creative being a human, everything. Like doing this, speaking is creative. Relationships are creative. Making a sofa is creative. Buying a sofa is creative. Searching the internet is creative. Growing a plant is creative. But this becomes all covered for many, many reasons. And then you get to this point where you don't follow your flow to create a life for yourself. And that's a human disturbance problem. It doesn't mean that you're disturbed. It means that there's something in your energy that's blocking that. So then you have to go off and investigate that and find out why that is. And I would suggest working with therapists, with a non-dual teacher, one-on-one, so you can be really private and personal about it. I have recommendations on my website of non-dual teachers, of therapists that are into non-duality. You can find that under references on my website. Yeah. So they can really hold a mirror up for you to look at stuff. Sometimes when you do it by yourself, you miss these things, and then your mind kind of gets into thinking, oh, that's okay because all I want to do is meditate, or I'm going through this or that, or reasoning with non-duality. But hopefully if you're working one-on-one, then people will keep confronting you, so you'll keep expanding and not getting stuck in things. Yeah. And a lot of people have a lot of fear and shame that comes up with the idea of working one-on-one, and distrust, and it stops that happening. So I just noticed that. There's also loads of books, if you're not ready for that you can read about psychology and energy on my website as well. And this will help. Yeah. I hope that makes sense and wasn't too confusing. Thanks, Joan, for your question.